Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring the G.I. Joe Classified Series Spirit Iron Knife. Okay, so today is June 30th, 2022. I received this action figure yesterday via Amazon, and from my understanding, I think it's been seen in the wild at Walmart. So if you're on the hunt for this figure, you know it's out, so good luck. Alright, so we have Spirit Iron Knife. This is a figure I'm really interested in because as a kid, Spirit was one of my favorite G.I. Joe characters. When I saw this figure in the mail yesterday, I was checking it out, and I noticed that the weaponry on Spirit is much more grounded in the real world. Previously in the G.I. Joe Classified series, a lot of the weapons we got were very like sci-fi looking. These weapons, these look like, as close as you can get to like real world weaponry. It doesn't look like any sort of weird fancy like high-tech laser gun or like rail gun or pulse rifle. These look like, like a real sniper rifle, a real pistol. So that's kind of cool. I've noticed that with some of the announcements for figures that we're getting in the future, a lot of the designs are, they really harken back more so to like the original designs in the 80s. Unlike the first few waves where it seemed like they were trying to like re-envision G.I. Joe in the modern era, it seems like at this point, Hasbro is kind of like maybe course correcting and giving fans the much more iconic looks that, the older fans would prefer. And I think this is the case with Spirit. He had the much more realistic looking weaponry, and his outfit looks pretty standard. There's nothing really sci-fi about it other than the communicator on his upper right shoulder. Okay, so let's talk about this. The box art, I say this all the time. I'm either a fan or I'm not. Partially because I kind of wish, they just pick one artist and just provide the artwork like with a uniform look all across, much like they did with Star Wars The Black Series. With G.I. Joe Classified Series, it's nice that Hasbro gives different artists, a palette and a canvas to like showcase their art styles. But for me, I'd prefer some consistency. That's not to say this is a bad illustration, but for me, I kind of wish it was, across the board, all the figures shared a similar art style. So yeah, we have a very like pop culture kind of like stylized illustration of Spirit and freedom. This looks like something I'd probably see like in a gallery or something, but for me, I prefer either stuff look very kind of somewhat realistic like this, or maybe like a much more serious comic books art style. I think this is a little too stylized. On the back, we have a new illustration, and this one looks great. As you can see, the rosters has expanded, and it looks awesome. This is really, really cool. I dig this a lot. So yeah, awesome stuff here. And as of this recording, I think late last night, Hasbro announced that they actually met the crowdfunded campaign goal for the Hiss tank. I think initially it was kind of crazy because I think they got it all done in one day. I think yesterday morning they announced that the new HasLab project was going to be the Hiss tank, and they needed 8,000 backers, and they actually met that goal before within 24 hours, which is awesome. As for myself, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the Hiss tank. Not that it's too pricey. I think the price is reasonable. I just think it doesn't really have a spot in my collection because it's ridiculously oversized. And for me, when it comes to like G.I. Joe and vehicles, I prefer the much smaller like 3 3/4, 4-inch scale figures. And I already have like a couple of Hiss tanks there. For me, the novelty with the Classified series is that it's a 6-inch action figure. And unless they were going to go balls deep and give us tons of vehicles, I'm not really on board. I am for like the smaller stuff, like the motorcycles, and if they were made of vamp. But I don't know. The Hiss tank's is a little too large. But I don't know. I might change my tune down the road. Who knows? But it looks awesome. I'm all on board in terms of people supporting it and having it being released. I think the price point's reasonable, and the play features look amazing. All right, let's talk about Spirit. I'm running off on a tangent again. All right, so first impressions of Spirit while it's in the tray. All right, my first thought looking at this is that in terms of, if you told me like 2 years ago or 3 years ago that we're going to get the G.I. Joe Classified series of action figures, for me, it's like I'd really, not that I'm always married to the original looks of the character, but for me, it's kind of like if they gave us like a 1-to-1 version of what the actual original toy looked like, but upscaled it to like a 6-inch scale, I'd be very happy. And for me, this is kind of, I think, what they should have done initially, because this, if you have like a version of Spirit in your head, what a 6-inch scale version of Spirit looks like, this is definitely going to be it. Like I said, it's a very tried and true to the original design. The only thing that you might object to if you weren't on board initially with the first two waves is that little science fiction looking communicator on his shoulder pad. Otherwise, this looks pretty spot on, in terms of Spirit. And Freedom comes with these giant wings, so we're going to have to assemble him. But yeah, it looks great. So we have a pistol, 2 different knives. We have a combat knife. This maybe this one here, maybe it's a ceremonial knife or something that's, like maybe a family heirloom. Looks a little bit different in its design. We got a rifle with a nice large scope on it. His backpack. And the backpack's nice. It's actually 2 colors. And I'm really curious about Freedom, so let's take a look at that first. Okay, so this is really cool. Okay, so with Freedom, you have 2 different options. So here's the bald eagle. It's the national bird if you live in the United States of America. And if you've ever seen a bald eagle in real life, oh my god, they are like gigantic. Like where I work, it's not too far from the Fox River, located in Elgin, Illinois. And over the last, I don't know, maybe like 6 to 8 years, bald eagles, for whatever reason, have returned to this area and have kind of made it their home. And those things are gigantic. I saw one once off the side of the road, and I swear the thing was probably like standing up, probably came up to my waist. But here's Freedom. It looks awesome, and it's the sculpting on it. It's a little soft and muddy on the wings here, like you can see. The definition, it's a little bit sharper, at least on my Freedom, towards the bottom of the wings, but then towards the top, the sculpting is a little muddy, a little bit soft. It's like that on both wings, actually. Yeah, the sculpting seems just a little muddy. I'm not sure if this is the nature of it or what, but it's all right, though. I'm very, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on it. I'm just pointing it out. It's a little bit softer in the sculpting. It looks like the head's articulated, so he can look up, he can look down, rotate. And then these wings, you could position them, either, or it'd be great if you're into like the TV show Suicide Squad and you need Eagly for the John Cena character. This is a great option, especially with these giant wings. You could recreate the scene where Eagly like hugs Peacemaker. So the wings are on ball joints and they easily come off, which is nice. You don't have to force them off. See, nice large ball joint. There's the socket. And if you want Freedom to look like it's full like spread eagle, there's actually little markings on each wing. So this is the right wing, and then this one, there's an L. Let's see if I get that into focus. It doesn't want to focus on this. Alright. Yeah, this guy does not want to focus. So there's an L inscribed on the other ball joint. So left wing, I believe it's, this is according to like Freedom's left wing. So left side of Freedom, left wing. Right wing, right side of Freedom. His right, not my right. And then you get the spread eagle look, this looks great. That's fantastic. Look at that. Now the sculpting on these wings, as you can see, is a lot sharper. It's a lot more cleanly defined. It looks like there's even a little bit of dry brushing on the feathers to really like give the details a little bit more punch. And like I was talking about earlier, this, like, it looks really muddy and soft with the sculpting here. But on these wings, they look beautiful. Yeah, so this is really cool. So yeah, nice, awesome extra. This is a great little thing. You know, freedom is such an integral part of the Spirit character, and it's really nice that, you know, it wasn't just like an afterthought, that they actually gave us, you know, an articulated bald eagle with different wing options. I can really appreciate that. So kudos to Hasbro for that. This is really cool. Now I gotta remember if I'm putting the right wings where they're supposed to be, because these wings are, oh, they're marked also. They're marked on the inside. You'll notice like like there's the L here, and then there's an R inscribed on here. So his right, and then his left. Okay. All right, so let's take out Spirit. All right, so I'm not going to remove all the weaponry. At the very least, I'm at least going to take out the rifle. All right, let's take a look at Spirit up close and personal. Great looking figure. Yeah, this one's a winner right off the bat. This one's awesome. And as you can see, it looks like it's making some reuse of some previously released action figures. For example, I believe the upper torso from the waist up until the neck, I think this is from originally the Classified series Duke body. And I think that was also shared across the board with, like, I want to say Flint. I believe this is new altogether. His left forearm, kind of like, I believe this is the Talon arm. This is the arm where Freedom sits upon. It kind of C2. It has two sockets on the forearm. So if you want, here's Freedom, and then there's, at the bottom of his feet, there's two pegs. And if you want Freedom sitting on Spirit's arm, you could do that like so. Like that. So that's cool. Nice sculpting on the face and hair. Really well done. The paint on mine is a little bit blotchy right here on the headband, but that's okay. It's not that bad. I don't know if the hair on mine's a little off-center. I was looking at it, and it seems like it's glued on a little off-center. I could be wrong, though. Because if you notice, it looks a little crooked on his forehead. It's not straight across, but I'm not sure if that's intentional. The braids, they're pretty soft also, so there's some flex to them. And then here's kind of like that sci-fi communicator that we've seen on the other Joe members. He has an emblem on his right shoulder. The harnesses are really nice. It's a separate piece. This is a figure I kind of wish I'd find, like, you know, not that it's kind of a bad thing that, you know, you go to like Targets or Walmarts and sometimes you'll see some of the figures just like peg warming. Like, you know, I can still find, like, you know, a couple of gung hos at my local Target, but, you know, not that it'd be a good thing to have like Spirit like warm up the pegs and just sit there on the shelves. But I love this harness a lot. You know, I'd love to like obtain more of these. And if I came across another figure, I'd definitely buy another spirit or two just for the accessories alone. And also just for the lower torso, I believe that this would be great for like part swapping his pants. You know, especially if you're trying to make like a custom Doc figure, these pants would be perfect. I think with the boots also. So, you know, hopefully maybe in the near future we'll get a Doc. But this looks great. Great attention to detail on the belts, harnesses. Here's the holster. I'm not sure if this is a new design or not. It might be. There's a sheath for the knife. As I pointed out earlier, his left forearm has the bracer for the eagle. It's nice that he has just plain, pants. He doesn't have like any sci-fi like body armor over it. Like he has no like crazy looking knee pads. It's just strictly pants. Same with the boots. These are just very ordinary looking boots. They're not like something that came out of like the Aliens movies or like Star Wars. So if your big complaint was that the characters look too sci-fi, you're going to be very happy with this guy. And here's his backpack. And it's cool too with the backpack. One thing I just noticed is that there's a little perch on top of the backpack with two sockets. So if you want to, you can situate Freedom on top of the backpack as well. And it plugs in. Let's get the backpack on here. So you get this look, which is pretty cool. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. In my head, I was kind of thinking just now, it'd be funny if they just released like a box set where it's just all the animals in G.I. Joe and call it like G.I. Joe Animal Friends. You know, you get like Timber, you get Freedom, you get all the different dogs. That'd be funny. Here's the rifle. Quick look at that. You know, like I said, this is much more grounded in the real world. It's not like some sort of crazy looking sci-fi, like railgun or something. And this one has, I want to say you could probably store it on the backpack, I think. If you could, I don't know if there's a socket in here. There's a peg here. Maybe just put the trigger in there, like that. Possibly. Yeah, so I'm not sure what you're supposed to attach here. It's not the knife or the pistol, I know that. Speaking of the knife and pistol, so the additional accessories that it came with, there's two knives and a pistol. There's two sheaths, one on his chest, one on his leg for the knives, and then a holster for the pistol. But for the rifle, though, like I said, I'm not sure where you're supposed to store this. I'm guessing you're supposed to store it on the peg here. But there's no socket on the rifle whatsoever, and I'd be hesitant on using the trigger guard as the place to insert the peg just because, you don't want to break this. Alright, so let's talk numbers here. How do I rate Spirit on a scale of 1 to 10? For me, I'm going to be very generous. It's an easy 10. Spirit was one of my favorite action figures in G.I. Joe as a kid growing up in the 80s. And for me, this one really hits it out of the ballpark. This is really, really what I expected for a 6-inch scale Spirit figure. And just for fun, I couldn't find my original Spirit figure from what I had when I was a child. It's somewhere, but chances are it's probably broken. So the next best thing is this. I'm not sure if this book is still in print or if it's made available digitally. This is the first edition of the Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe. Covers 1982 to 1994. It's by Mark Belomo. He specializes in these kind of books. You know, I think I have a couple of Transformer books done by him. So let's say that you're a big G.I. Joe fan. You grew up in the 80s. You know, when you were a little kid, you'd come home from school, you know, fix yourself a snack and watch G.I. Joe. And now that you're older, you might be married or in a relationship, and buying toys might not necessarily be a thing for you right now because, you know, maybe money's a thing. The next best thing to collecting action figures is owning one of these books. It's no substitute for having the real thing, but, you know, this is as close as you'll get to getting an entire collection, but in book form, if that makes any sense. This book is amazing. It spotlights every action figure. It shows their accessories, so you know what's, you know, there or what's missing, and I love this thing. This is such a great book. It has all the vehicles, and the reason why I pull this out is we're going to take a look at Spirit right here. So one thing Spirit is missing that I kind of noticed is that the original Spirit figure had this like belt with these like kind of like, I'm not sure if it's a sash or a skirt or whatever it was right there, and he seems to be missing it here, but that for me that's kind of forgivable. But for the most part, you can kind of see they did a great job of recreating that look. So yeah, there's the old school one next to the new school one. Great modern interpretation of the old figure. It's really awesome. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.